Hey everyone, it's Drop back on another video, and today we're going to be diving back into Ash Hell Stage 2. And this time we're not going to be using William. We're going to do a modification of my comp that I did a couple days ago, but it does have a high gear requirement. So let's go ahead and jump into the stats and all that. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump into it. All right, so here we have it, and there's only really one big change for this comp, and that is subbing out William for Hakrin, which makes this incredibly easier to build for a lot of you, because having a combination of William and Nathalia is much harder than just having Nathalia here. Got this idea from some of my Discord Epic Nightmare, and I also paired some other strategies that I have been swapping with a couple of other people, and I had to do a lot of modifications for this comp because it is quite fun, something that we got going on here, and I'll explain in all the stat menus in just a second, but I just want to go over the first couple of waves here and the strategy involved, so that way we can understand why we have the stats that we have. All right, so here we are in the battle, and I just want to go over the skill order so you all can understand kind of what stats and why we need these stats. So first off, Joseph's going to go, he's going to apply the defense down, he's going to go ahead and ult, and then we're going to go have all the other characters go. Santos will go ahead and basic. We have basic only on her. Hakrin's going to go ahead and start stacking up that max HP. And they're all going to hit these back imps. That's pretty much consistent throughout the entire time I've run. Many 10 runs. This team is about 95% consistent, and I'll explain why it's not quite 100% when we get into the stats a little bit from now. But pretty consistent overall, and a significant improvement over my previous runs. And then Joseph, he's actually going to use his basic over the second skill, which will allow us to have speed up on our Nathalia, and they're going to keep hitting the lowest HP imp. Nathalia's going to come in, and she's going to go ahead and kill off the imps. Then we're going to jump into the second round, and this is where the turn order becomes really important. Not only there, we do need Nathalia to have the slowest speed here, so Joseph's going to go ahead and give that speed buff to Nathalia for this round, as well as the future in the boss fight. Going to go ahead and ult with Nathalia again. One of the reasons why this comp is pretty difficult to build here is because of the stats you need on your Nathalia. Hakrin's going to go. It's important that Nathalia goes before Hakrin if you can have it, because Hakrin will hit that defense down, and then you'll have enough damage to clear through. Joseph will go ahead and ult again, and then we're just going to cycle back through, and we're going to come back to Hakrin here, and I'm going to go ahead and kill off this last imp with Nathalia. I'm not going to go through the boss fight right now. I just want to show all the different stages and why you need a very specific stats on your characters, because getting through those two waves at the beginning is very difficult for the average player. All right, so we're going to start off with Nathalia here and go over the stats here. Again, I wanted to showcase how much damage you actually needed in the waves. You could see here that even with my Nathalia with 4.4k attack, 327% crit damage, she still is kind of barely making the damage threshold that you need to clear out those two waves in the amount of time that we have. So very important that you get some solid stats. I don't think you need necessarily this much stats. You could probably go with about 4.2k attack and 300% crit damage. And I know this is very high stats, but it's Ash, stage 14. You're going to need high stats. That's just what it is. It's important to note that you need only about 128 speed. You actually don't need to go before the boss because all you care about is getting rid of the imps in the first turn. And actually, we don't even care about the ultimate going off necessarily later on in the run, and I'll show you that later on. But 128 speed is the minimum. We need to go before the waves for sure, but we don't care about necessarily going before the boss because Joseph provides that speed up oftentimes for Nathalia. Now, again, more tanky stats, the better. I was not able to get these stats with a revival set. You can see here I'm on a bunch of broken sets and a warrior set. I would much prefer to have a revival set. If you happen to have a revival set on your Nathalia, this run becomes 100%, no questions asked. Now, also, along that note, if you happen to have more HP and defense, or even more damage, it could also increase the percentage of win rate. And there's also one other way I could get this to from a 95% to 100% win rate, and I'll go over that in just a second. Next up, I'm going to go over Joseph here. He needs to be able to go first in the turn order. He's got 165 speed, but with the passive, he's going to have way over 200 speed, or not quite way over 200 speed to go first. So keep that in mind. He's actually not 165 speed. he's actually about, with a 20% speed increase here, he's about, let's just say, like 198 or something like that. So that's the realistic speed. You're going to want high HP, high defense, and actually high focus on Joseph because he's going to be the one responsible for landing that defense down. So you want high focus on Joseph here. He's in a revival set to make sure he's tanking through all the hits and have enough healing there. All right, so next up is Santis, and this is something that I had to figure out when I was running the runs. We are doing something pretty crazy here. I've never done this for any other dungeon build, and I've not seen anyone do it yet, but we're actually abusing the agility number here. Hold on, let me just, whoop. Okay, there we go. I was getting used to it, but agility, you can see here, we're at 58 agility, and it's actually a lot more agility than that because we have positive affinity on all of our units. We are literally deflecting the boss's ultimate attack and not dying when the imps are up. This has caused me to have from a 50 to 60% win rate to 100% or close to 100% win rate. Granted, I do not have a massive amount of stats on all my characters in regards to agility. I don't quite level up that type of gear. You can see here, we have, kind of mediocre substats, double flat HP roll here. Here we have decent substats. Here, this one has kind of what we're looking for here. This one is overall pretty decent as well. You can see here, though, like I don't quite have exactly what I'm looking for in regards to kind of the agility rolls that I want. And so when you're building out units, you may have better gear or worse gear. You do need a revival set here, and you do need some solid stats on your Santas, preferably even more HP. That is one other way I can get this to 100% win rate, is building a lot of agility on Joseph because he doesn't have agility, or getting my Santis even more HP. This 6th Ascension could help out quite a bit. You do need Ascension 5 on Santis for this to be 100%. Let's go ahead and jump over to Hakrin now. So along with Santis here, you could see that Hakrin actually has 50 agility as well. This is very, very important that you get to these high agility numbers. Preferably you'd have, around 65, 70 agility to make sure you're deflecting every single time. Because not only are you deflecting the big hit from the boss, but you're also going to want to deflect all of the mini hits so that you actually have that extra HP. Because even if the boss lands a fully kind of charged up cannon without deflecting, you could still survive it. The only problem is you also will take a lot of damage from all the other imps. So you do need a lot of tanky stats on your characters. Preferably, I'd have a little bit more focus just to make sure I'm landing that taunt so Hakrin tanks the damage, but it's not that big of a deal. 146 speed is perfect here. He still goes before the boss, which is perfect. 3.5k defense and almost 15.5k HP. You're preferably going to want more tanky stats on your Hakrin as well. That could also help out. It's not really necessary. He's in a revival set, and he's got plus 12 gear on the bottom here. So if I were to plus 15 this, I think that would also make this 100% run. Again, I haven't done all the upgrading because I am running low on charms at this point because I've been testing a lot. So I haven't gone ahead and made this 100% for me yet because I am running really low on charms. So that's going to be the builds. Agility is key here. We're going to go ahead and run a run just to show you what I mean on how we're going to kind of abuse the fact when the boss sacrifices HP, later on in the battle, we're still going to live, even though the imps are alive. We don't even need invincible. It's because of agility. Let's jump into that run. All right, so here we are. We're going to be in the run, and we're just going to drop it on auto, and I'll just talk through all the different points. First off, it's going to go play out exactly how we went through it in the beginning of the video. We're going to target that back imp, go ahead and use the stacking and max HP. We have Santis' skills off. We're going to go ahead and ult with Mythology here. The first wave isn't too damage heavy. You can do it with quite a bit of damage, but you do need to clear out that second wave and the imps with a lot of damage there. This is one situation where Hakrin's actually going to go before Nathalia because they did apply Ignite to Santis here. So if you had a lot of resistance, you could avoid that, but it's not a huge deal. Overall, all that matters there is that your Nathalia is just going to need more stats to clear out the second wave. And that's why we need those massive, massive stat numbers. So here we go. Nathalia is going to go and hit everyone. You can see there, the imp is about half HP, and that's with my pretty solid stats on our Nathalia. Now, granted, she's going to get one additional buff here. So she will go ahead and hit for a little bit more. But Hakrin's going to also go ahead and hit. And so we're not going to need to do as much damage as that first hit. but we're still going to need a very, very solid amount of damage to clear through that second wave. Next up, we're going to get to the boss fight, and this is where it gets really exciting. First wave is going to be no problem. Joseph's going to go ahead and give that speed buff to Nathalia. We're going to go ahead of the boss, and we're going to kill all the imps. No questions asked. We're going to have that buffs from Joseph from the second wave, get that speed buff, and have enough buffs, 4 buffs to be specific, to clear out all the waves. You can see here, we're getting deflections on both Santis and Hakrin. It's going to happen almost every single time. I personally have not seen it not be deflected. And this is where agility gets very, very exciting. I think it's very, very cool to see agility be working really, really well in PvE. So I was very happy when I was discovering this kind of niche stat that's being very, very useful. Again, another double deflection. You already deflect a lot because we're water units. Stacking agility is very, very easy because of this. And you don't really need all that much. Just going to go ahead and put up those buffs, and we're just going to go ahead and get through here. You can see that Nathalia will go ahead and die off later on in the battle. She's already taking a little bit of a hit and not healing too much. This is where it gets a little sketchy, because if you don't have enough damage on your Nathalia, you're going to go ahead and not be able to kill off these imps. You can see all the imps are about a little bit over half HP. Fortunately, though, the defense down spell is going to come up right on this wave. So this is where Hakrin comes very, very useful. You actually much need a very tanky Hakrin to make sure you survive all these imp hits so that you can actually make it to the second round. And you need your Nathalia tanky enough so that she survives the imp hits as well. But she's going to go ahead and clear out all the imps here, and then she's going to die off pretty much because of the ultimate coming in from the Ash boss. But that's okay. We can still survive, and you'll see later on in the battle why that is the case. We ended up getting a lucky deflection on Nathalia, but she will go ahead and die off in just a moment here in the next couple of rounds. If you had a revival set, like I said, this is going to be no questions, easy, 100% clear. The problem with my account personally is I do not have a substantial amount of damage dealing revival sets, so Nathalia goes ahead and dies on me. But the Ash boss is going to go ahead and use his second skill, heal up a little bit and kill off our Nathalia. But the imps are going to go ahead and hit everyone else, and we're deflecting every single hit on our Hakrin and Santis, as you can see here. And I'm really excited to show you this next round here, when the Ash boss has the ultimate up here. So the ultimate's up, the imps are alive, presumably you're going to die, right? And the boss is really, really low. So this is where I was failing every single time other than that. But check this out. He's going to go ahead and hit, and we're going to get a double deflection on both Hakrin and Santis. Joseph got a lucky deflection, but we barely took any damage. We took maybe half of our Santis' HP, a little bit, about 33% from Hakrin, and then we're going to go finish it off with the poisons from Santis. This is absolutely key. This is what allowed me to go ahead and beat this about 95% win rate. The only problem is if Santis takes too many hits, or you don't land enough poisons, or Joseph gives, like, basically if the bomb doesn't land on Santis or Nathalia, and Joseph doesn't give them a bonus turn, you're not going to land as many poisons or damage. So if that happens to go to Hakrin every single time, there's sometimes when the run can go a little longer and my Santis can die. And then if Santis dies, Hakrin's not going to be able to finish the boss. But it's usually, the boss is around anywhere from 6 to 10% HP. So if I literally just had a couple more turns, then she would have been fine. But that's the key, is to get Santis a little bit more tanky, or to have Joseph in an agility set as well, or have Nathalia in a revival set and more damage. There's all sorts of different ways I can improve this from a 95% win rate to a 100% win rate. I have been able to get a couple of 10 runs in there, max cleared. I've run about 50 runs with this, and I've lost about 3. So that's about my clear so far. You can see here, getting that 6-star piece of gear, very, very nice. But I'm honestly super excited about this because I have not been able to really show the power of agility in PvE. Now that I have much better gear and we have hell stages where it's really, really important to have really, really solid gear, I feel like now you can see the true power of agility, where we can just mitigate the supposedly one-shot, one-kill skill from the Ash boss. So hopefully this is exciting for you. I know it's a high gear requirement, but I thought it was exciting and worth the video. Thank you again for Epic Nightmare for some of the ideas in this comp, specifically Hakrin. Hopefully it was just pretty exciting to see agility work. That'll be it for this video, and I'll see you for the next one.